How's it going, guys? What I thought I would do in this video is actually take a few minutes to talk about two very popular firearms on the market. Of course, everyone knows Glock. This is my Glock 19 Gen 4 here on the right. This is a company that in many ways has revolutionized the polymer pistol market. Okay, I know that Glock is not the first manufacturer to make a polymer pistol. However, they really basically brought it into its own. They have clearly shown that it is a very reliable technology and that it works very well for firearms. And here on the other side is my Canik Mete. Okay, this is a company that has basically exploded in the American gun market over recent years. It has not been around, in the American gun market anywhere near as long as Glock. However, it is a company that has quickly came into its own, and they do have a very strong reputation for making quality firearms. Now, there are some differences and there are some similarities between these two firearms. Of course, the Glock being the safe action on that. There's a lot of things that a lot of the polymer firearms these days have borrowed from Glock, including some of the safety features on them. You can see the little dongle that is on the trigger of every Glock. You can see here on the Canik that it has a similar type safety here, and that is to help keep the trigger from being accidentally pressed. Now, these two firearms are both the lower frames of them, of course, are polymer, and then the slides are metal. They are steel. Now, something that a lot of people may not know about the Canik compared to the Glock, the Caniks are just a little bit thicker, okay? So if you are considering one for concealed carry, that's something that you might want to take note of. It is just a little bit thicker. And this is not just because of these two models. This is something that among Caniks is very common. They are typically just a little bit thicker than most of the Glocks out there. Now, does that, that may influence you depending on the way you carry, that sort of thing, but it is something that you may want to be aware of. The grip on a Glock. Some people do not like the angle that comes on the Glock. I know there's a big debate over the finger grooves on, some of the older model Glocks, like the Gen 4s. Now, they eliminated these on the Gen 5s. And, it doesn't make any difference to me. I can certainly understand why some people may not like them. The Caniks do not come with finger grooves. This particular model, the Mete model, has a few upgrades over just the standard TP9 Canik. Of course, it's got the flared mag well, and I've added this onto mine. It comes with a little bit more of a flare. Go back and check out some of the other videos that I've done with this gun where you can get some more information about it. Now, as far as the Glock Trigger, the Glock Trigger is one that is either loved or hated, or, well, in my case, tolerated. That trigger on a Glock is typical Glock. I mean, you've got a lot of that sponginess until you hit that wall, and then once you hit that wall, it will finally break, okay? It is what it is. Different Glocks will sometimes have different triggers. For example, literally, you can get two Glock 19s of the same generation, and the triggers on them may be just a little bit different to the feel. Caniks, the trigger on the Canik pistols are amazing, in my opinion. They have, I think, possibly the best trigger of a polymer, out-of-the-box polymer pistol on the market, in my opinion. Okay, if any of you guys out there know of anything that is any better, leave it down in the comments below, because I would love to hear from you. The Canik trigger, very, very smooth. It does have a bit of take-up, just like what we see on the Glock. Once you get to that wall, it is just very little creep once you hit that wall. It is just so much smoother. It's much more like a glass rod once you get there. It's just very snappy right there. I mean, it just does not have the same kind of sponginess once you hit that wall with a Glock. There is just a little bit of sponginess, okay? A little bit more sponginess on this trigger. It is also, for this particular trigger, slightly heavier than what the Canik trigger is. One downside to some people, and there again, everybody has their own views on the Caniks. The Mete series, some of the others, some people do not like that trigger breaks so far back. You can see how far back that trigger is. I mean, it is literally right to the back of the frame before it finally breaks. There's some people that do not like that. Of course, like with the Glock, you still are a little ways away from that frame when you hit that wall, okay? Now, the newer Caniks, they have a newer version out that actually has answered the, it's kind of been I guess you could say a reaction to the feedback that they have gotten from their customers. And on that newer gun, the trigger brake is actually moved forward just a little bit. That's one thing about Canik. They're very responsive to customer feedback. That is something that if you have been a follower of the company for some time, you will know that they are very responsive. If there's a lot of folks out there that want a feature on a gun, Canik many times over has came out with a model with the feature that a lot of people have asked for. And I think that even the Mete series, this gun is one that was a response for a lot of feedback. You had the SFX that came out years ago from Canik, and one of the feedbacks that the company got was they did not like, if you're going to put a red dot on the gun, they did not like the fact that you would lose your rear sight. There's a lot of folks out there that wanted to be able to put a red dot on their gun that wanted to also retain that rear sight. The Mete, that's something that they did do. They have changed it to where if you wanted to add an optic to this, you would be able to keep that rear sight with no problem whatsoever. You just remove the screws, mount your optic, and, be good about it. Glock, they finally came out and decided to add a series, the MOS series, where you can add optics to them as well. That's something that's becoming more popular these days in handguns, even concealed carry handguns. My personal opinion, I still like the iron sights. Everyone has their preferences, and this is mine. I prefer irons. That's just me. I like red dots on my rifles, but for my handguns, I prefer iron sights. That's just a personal preference for me. Now, the ergos on the Canik, there is definitely a big difference in how it feels in your hand, okay? As much as I love Glocks, there's some people that hate the way that a Glock feels in their hands. They hate the way that angle is. As much as I love them, I'm used to them. It doesn't bother me. A Glock is a Glock. I don't want Glock to change and become something else. I want Glock to remain as Glock, okay? The reason I buy Glocks is because they're Glocks. They fit my hand. They perform, they do what I want them to do. And as you can see on this gun here, if you've been a follower of my channel for a while, you've seen this gun quite a few times. It has a lot of wear, it has a lot of scuffs, scratches, and everything else, and that is because I have carried this gun so much. This is a gun that is very regularly with me. The Canik, this gun here, I will typically, there's times that I'll carry it around home. I don't conceal carry it. It is a full-size gun. I mean, it is something that's a bit larger than like the Glock 19, as you can kind of see. It does have a longer slide. It is just a bit thicker, but I will carry it many times around home for home defense or just to take it out to the range, things like that, and it's a lot of fun. The ergos on this, it feels amazing. The grip on this gun is just, just the way that it feels like a well-worn-in glove, I guess you could say. It fits my hands very well. It has the, the way that it's molded here to be able to rest your thumb in there and really help you to grip that firearm. You know, you've got that undercut trigger guard here, which gives you just a little bit higher grip on that gun. It's a better way of managing recoil. Of course, the Glock, yes, it has a little bit of an undercut there itself. Does have a little bit of a swell here, a little bit of a ledge here for resting your thumb, and depending on how you grip that firearm, that may or may not work for you. For me, it does not work on this particular firearm because my hands are so large. My thumbs actually hit above here on a Glock 19. You know, the Glock 17, of course, it was just a little bit longer, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference between the 17 and the 19 for me. That's just kind of how my thumbs will fall on this gun. The Canik, it is a little bit different. I have a tendency to ride high, even though it has this ledge here. My thumbs will typically be slightly above where that ledge is, but it is very comfortable. It is a very controllable firearm. Both of these are. Some people do not like the Glocks. I love them. That's why I own them. Canik, same thing. You know, I own firearms that I like. I do not own firearms that I do not like. So if you see a firearm on my channel, it is one that I like. But guys, this is just a few things that I wanted to point out about the Glocks compared to the Caniks. Now, this is, in many ways, probably not the best two examples as far as a comparison. This gun is obviously being full-sized. I guess you could say a Glock 17 or 34 or something like that would probably compare to this a little better as far as size. But, you know, I don't own any of those models yet. That's something that I may pick up in the future. And the full-sized handguns, typically, they're, you know, duty model handguns, things like that, they're typically not as popular with concealed carry as something like this, the compact size, would be. You know, there are trade-offs. There are some people that can carry a full-size gun for concealed carry. I have myself on many occasions in the past, and it just really depends on what I want to carry. But if you are trying to decide between one or the other, this is just a little bit of a comparison. You can get Caniks in compact models that are pretty much identical in size to the Glock 19. You know, they do have those models out there. I will tell you, though, that the thickness of them, just like I had showed you here earlier, the thickness on the Caniks is still slightly more when it comes down even to the compact models. They do have a little bit more heft in them than the Glocks as far as the thickness. I know there's a lot of people complain about the blockiness of a Glock, but if you look, that blockiness, it is still smaller than what the Canik is, okay? But either way, it's just really a personal preference, unless you're like me and, you know, you own both of them. But guys, this is just a quick video that I wanted to do. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would love to hear some feedback from you. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Check out all of the links down in the description. I've got some new t-shirts that are out, so go down there and check those out. Let me hear from you guys. Which of these two would you prefer? Which of these two have you had any experience with? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. Visit my website at boomsticktactical.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.